Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 4 of season 2 of our F1 Manager McLaren career mode. Yes, this weekend we head out to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, otherwise known more lovingly as Imola. Of course, if you missed out on the last race when we went to the Land Down Under and the Australian Grand Prix, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We've got quite a few things going on behind the scenes at the moment, including the vote regulation results. So let's see if we can try and find out what we have voted for. And it looks like we have voted in favour of the smaller regulation change there. So Ferrari, ourselves, Alpine and Alfa Romeo voted for the major changes. And then every other team voted for the smaller ones. So it hasn't quite gone the way we would have wanted there. But, you know, still trying to make progress in this championship. We've got new designs, new manufacturing processes all being completed as well behind the scenes at the moment. I don't think we've got any extra resource time to be able to use as well, at least not that I'm aware of. Yeah, no, so we have run out of all the time that we possibly can there, so don't really have to worry too much about that. But fingers crossed we're going to get everything all sorted on the car, ready for this weekend. Design should be complete, not too worried about having a low amount of rear wings. There we go, so new underfloor then has successfully gone onto the car. We'll see if we can try and develop a couple of those ready for the weekend as well there. So underfloor UF2, we need 2 of those. We can get 1 on the car ready for the weekend, but I think the other one we are just going to miss out on there. So it might be a case of Lando gets the new part this weekend and oh no, there we go, Imola 6 days away, sorry. So yeah, we should be able to get both of those on the car ready for the weekend as well. Their new side pods as well are all being sorted. We've got plenty of things going on in the works as well, so we can see, yeah, the new underfloors all ready to go. You know, we're trying to continue bringing the car forward, of course, trying to make sure that we're getting more and more competitive with the front runners. There's quite a big development race going on at the moment, so we have got to be very, very careful in that regard. In terms of current performance, we're still pretty much there. You know, we've got very, very good cornering in comparison to the grid average. They're slightly above, you know, very, very good top speed as well. And we're pretty much where we would expect to be at the moment. But we need to be trying to continue making big leaps forward. Currently, Ferrari, of course, leading the constructors. Red Bull finally back on form last weekend. Jumped back up to P2 there. We're only 4 points behind Alpine and 13 behind Mercedes. And then you can see in the Constructors' Championship there, Lando Norris still hanging around in P3. We need Oscar Piastri to score some more consistent points as well. But yeah, let's get on with it then. Let's head out to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Well, of course, Imola would normally be the first sprint weekend of the year. Really hoping that is a feature that is brought to F1 Manager 2023. But, you know, both drivers got to try and get used to the new car parts. Of course, we've constantly got developments and updates going onto the car at the moment there, which will hopefully, at the very least, keep us in the development race, of course, with the teams around us. But I do think we need to try and find something a bit extra to try and really shift our focus towards the top. You know, we're still fine with battling Alpines and Alfa Romeos during weekends when we really should be trying to get up towards, you know, battling Mercedes, Red Bulls and Ferraris. But hopefully Imola's going to be a better track for us. Of course, you know, the first 3 Grand Prix of the year are all very, very much power-dominated circuits. We did the best at Bahrain, which is probably the least power-orientated circuit out of the 3. So I'm really hoping Imola can be a weekend where we get closer and start bridging that gap. Oh, Lando Norris, sorry, Oscar Piastri even, just having a little bit of a moment. I forgot to actually tell both drivers not to... Oh, no, not that one. Yeah, we just saw Oscar Piastri run slightly wide Crofty. You don't need to get that dramatic over it. Let's just try and get him in some clear air. Of course, don't want to try and take too much out of the engine too early on. But I mean, yeah, we're less than 10 minutes in. We'll see what sort of times we can get, and more importantly, of course, see how the setup is suited to them. There we go. Oscar Piastri happy with the car. Very, very interested to see, of course, the fact he's able to give us feedback much quicker than Lando Norris seems to be able to now. So we'll try and see then how are we looking. He's pretty happy across the board. That is a very, very reassuring sign to start the weekend. I think we just got to try and experiment with a few other bits and pieces. See if we can just really try and optimise it as best as possible. And Lando Norris, on the contrary, really not happy with the car. So we might try and send him more down the Piastri route. Well, about halfway through FP1 then. I know it is far too early to be looking too much into the timings, but the fact we're less than a second away from fastest there early on is a really, really promising sign. Of course, normally in free practice, we're right towards the rear of the field. It is a shorter lap as well, let's not forget. But we seem to be quite competitive over free practice, which, yeah, really does not happen often in F1 Manager. Then coming back out onto the circuit with just 7 minutes left to go. Really has been quite a staggered session for this driver. Of course, Oscar Piastri's done pretty well just to get the car happy and balanced with the setup. And I've tried similar things with Lando Norris. I've tried very, very different things with Lando Norris. The times are good, but he just doesn't seem to be happy with the car he's got underneath him. Maybe he's just a bit too critical, perhaps. Anyway, I think it's time we jump into qualifying.
We return to our highly anticipated race weekend, just in time for the start of qualifying. For those teams hoping to pick up points in tomorrow's race, qualifying is a great opportunity to get ahead of the competition. Whether a driver normally finds themselves as a front runner or a back marker, any advantage they can gain here today is sure to give them an edge. So here we are, ready to resume.
Right, well, having a look then at the final free practice times there. Lando Norris up in P7, best of the rest, and right there with Mercedes where I wanted him. That is very reassuring. Oscar Piastri is right still in the thick of it as well. I mean, McLaren, Alpine, Kevin Magnussen, more than Yuki Tsunoda, and AlphaTauri there, especially with Pierre Gasly, all looking super, super competitive and close to each other once again this weekend. Q1 should be pretty simple. Fingers crossed. Let's just head straight into Q2. So difficult to call as we head into Q2. Then Oscar Piastri just starting his first lap. Lando Norris still out on his reconnaissance lap. All about just trying to get free track space, of course. Imola, old school circuit. It's pretty damn tight in a lot of places around here. Not the widest track in the world, as we're going to immediately find out with one of the Ferraris. They're just on their out lap, getting in the way slightly of Oscar Piastri. We had to send Lando out twice in Q1. Unfortunately, his first lap was ruined by some yellow flags there, but luckily made it through on just a single set of tyres. Alpine looking very, very competitive once again. Alfa Romeo, of course, Bottas and Alonso both can wring absolutely everything out of a Formula 1 car on this game, but Oscar Piastri then, we'll see what sort of time he's able to set here. Green in Sector 1, 23.55. I'm hoping he doesn't actually close up to Lando Norris on his outlap there. As you can see, Lando Norris just heading down in towards the final couple of corners, but yeah, that's Oscar Piastri there as he heads up through the chicane. All clean and tidy up now. Green once again in Sector 2, 26.2. This is looking like a pretty competitive lap time from the young Australian there. Really has had a tough start to the year, of course. Only scored points back in Bahrain, but as he threads the needle through the final couple of corners, just make sure you don't get any oversteer on exit, Oscar. Up towards the start-finish line. What is the time going to be? Oscar Piastri goes into P4 there. Splits the Alfa Romeos. That's the kind of competitive lap time we wanted from this young man there. And yeah, this track definitely suits our car a little bit more. Let's see what Oscar Piastri then is able to achieve come the end of Sector 1. 23.550, the time to beat 23.48. So Lando Norris finding even more pace over his teammate. As Esteban Ocon there now slots into best of the rest in P3. Well, Lando Norris has been absolutely flying on this lap. He's got clear track ahead of him as he heads down in towards the final couple of corners. I mean, if he slots in quicker than Ocon, we might not need to go out for a second run here in Q2, as round in the final turn he'll come up towards the start-finish line. Lando Norris, I'm hoping it's going to be a low 1 minute 15 here up over the line. Yes, it is. A 1:15.290 there, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very good lap time. 1.5 tenths clear of Oscar Piastri. He will have to do a second run here right towards the end, but I think Lando should be safely through. Right, I've taken a bit of a gamble then. I have not brought Lando Norris out for a final run here, of course. Had to take too much out of his tyres in Q1, so I'm hoping, P6 he should be safely through into Q3 there. He's got a good couple of tenths to the likes of Ricciardo and Gasly that are currently in the drop zone. But Oscar Piastri needs another worldly of a lap here. He is still inside that top 10, but he's right on the precipice. And there we go, end of Sector 1 is another quarter of a tenth up. It doesn't sound like a lot, but with these tight margins, that's a good improvement. Oh, Oscar Piastri improving again in Sector 2. He is now down in the drop zone. Lando Norris has been shifted down to P7 there. I think that was one of the Red Bulls of Sergio Perez there jumping up the roster. Daniel Ricciardo just 6 thousandths behind our young Brit. But where will Oscar Piastri go as he heads out of the final corner? He only needs to find 7/100ths of a second to knock Bottas out of Q2. And will he go ahead of him? No, he will not. Oscar Piastri, they're unable to find time in Sector 3. That's going to leave him down in P11. It will once again only be Lando Norris making it into Q3 there. But I mean, look at that. 3/10 from 7th down to 14th. The midfield in this series is absolutely stacked. Well, I've let most of the other runners then try and get their first laps before I've sent Lando Norris out. Max Verstappen should be peeling into the pit lane as we round through the final couple of corners, so might be even able to get a little bit of slipstream off of him. But this has always been a happy hunting ground for Lando Norris before. The sunlight could do with a little bit of work there as we head down towards turn 1. But yeah, Lando Norris got 2 fresh sets of tyres then, of course, without doing that second run in Q2, has dragged that extra set into this final session there. And I think that's going to be really, really important if we want to try and keep him ahead of those Alpine cars there. Ricciardo up in P6 on a 115.295. Lando Norris has already gone quicker than that this weekend. Let's hope he can do it once again there as further improvement in Sector 1. I think it's only by 1,000th, but it is an improvement. Up out of Aqua Minerale, really nice and tidy there from Lando Norris as he heads in towards the final sector. Again, improving in Sector 2 there. He could be a little bit closer to George Russell than I think the Mercedes would probably like. But as long as we get no silly mistakes down in towards the final couple of turns, this should put him competitively back up as best of the rest there. Only car not set time so far here in Q3. Up out of the final corner towards the start-finish line, Lando Norris. Surely this is going to be a low 15.2. And yes, it is there. Might even be, no, it's not quite a 15.1. But Lando Norris, beautiful little lap time. 15.224 there. Puts a 10th of a second near enough between himself and Ricciardo. It might not sound like a much, but that is a huge margin when we look at how competitive and equal these cars are. Right, let's see if Lando Norris then can go even faster there. I'm not really convinced we'll be able to get up to George Russell, but we may as well give him the final run here from Imola. You can see the sun very much starting to set. The horrible point in the day, of course, where it's blinding you constantly around this beautiful, picturesque park that is the Imola Grand Prix circuit. Of course, you just don't get tracks like this anymore in the world of Formula 1 there. But what times are we going to see from frontrunners? Charles Leclerc, unable to improve there, stays just behind Max Verstappen. Verstappen going quicker, though, down onto a 14.5. So clearly there is still pace in the circuit. Lando unable to improve in Sector 1. Perez stays in P3 there. Hamilton going quicker than Carlos Sainz, though, as Sainz will start this Grand Prix from 5th at very best there. Daniel Ricciardo unable to improve, stays in P8 there. Bottas unable to, does improve, but stays in P10, pardon me. So Bottas, a bit of a nightmare end to qualify, and then not able to quite get the laps he would have wanted. George Russell stays in P6, he does improve, so I think that pretty much cements us as starting down in P7 then. Final car in a run there, you can see we were, what, 7 thousandths down in Sector 1, identical come the end of Sector 2, so Lando Norris is going to have to go full send here as we head down in towards the final couple of corners, but it's been a fantastic qualifying session there. I said coming into this weekend we wanted to be closer to Mercedes and Ferrari there. Red Bull clearly have got the car to beat this weekend, but up towards the line, Lando Norris, it's pretty much identical once again there. He will stay P7, and that is a perfect way ready for this Grand Prix.
It's time for the final touches here on the grid ahead of today's race.
Qualifying went well for McLaren, and they're set to start this race feeling quite comfortable. Alpine demonstrated a lot of grit during qualifying here, and will be hoping that the hard work pays off when it comes to the race. And the clouds today look very ominous, which means that teams may have to contend with rain at some point during the race.
Meanwhile, in the grandstands, the red wave is swelling. So let's find out who wins the day here at Imola.
Right, here we are then, ready for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 60 laps, I think it is, isn't it? Here from the Imola circuit today, and let's wait and see as to what we're looking for here. Strategy is going to be a difficult one. Some of you have been asking why I don't do more two-stops on F1 Manager. Today I'm going to find out whether it's a good idea or not. Lando Norris, I feel like he's just going to have to take track position and hold on to it. I think once again, the aim for him is just try and stick with the front runners, break free from Daniel Ricciardo behind him there, and then we'll try and fuel save a bit later on in the afternoon. Not convinced we're going to be able to challenge those cars as much as I'd like, but that is going to be the game plan here. So we'll go 61 laps worth of fuel. Hopefully it'll give us a nice springboard off the start there and hopefully try and keep some of the other cars around us at bay. I need to get Oscar Piastri into the top 10 as early as possible here. Let's do this thing.
It's a bit of a cloudy day for the race, but the atmosphere as ever is electric. And there is Lando Norris. With a top 10 position on the grid, this race could really go either way for them. And it's the other McLaren. They're in the back half of the pack, so they'll need to work hard if they want a podium finish. The race start is mere seconds away. All eyes are on the race here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
Well, there we go then, nice clean tidy start by both of our cars there. We've got to make sure that we keep Lando Norris ahead of Daniel Ricciardo as we head back down in towards turn 1 there. And no, he is not. So Lando Norris straight down then into P8 of this Grand Prix. Ricciardo there slotting by, of course helped slightly by the curvature of that front straight, really did play into his hands early on. And that is not reassuring for us though. Charles Leclerc taking the lead though at the front of the field away from Max Verstappen. And of course we know how difficult this Imola circuit can be, so that might be a critical move early on in the GP. In terms of strategy, it's all mixed up. We've got cars on mediums, hards and soft compound tyres there. Oscar Piastri going side by side with Fernando Alonso a little bit further back. Need to try and keep the the Alfa Romeo even I should say, at bay there as we head up through the top of the hill. But yeah, I mean, Lando, we need to try and keep him, at least with Daniel Ricciardo early on in this race. I mean, we're going to have to try and save some fuel as well as the afternoon goes on. But I think already I'm going to try and see if we can push and force the error with Valtteri Bottas here nice and early this afternoon. A fresh set of softs versus a fresh set of hards. Surely we should have a nice big advantage there as Oscar Piastri already trying to have a look then down the outside as we head down the hill. Got to be very, very careful. You know, we'll actually get him pushing on the tyres as well there as we'll try and use some overtake mode out of the final corner. I just don't feel like we're going to see Bottas stick with those cars in front early enough this afternoon. So as we head out of the final corner, Oscar Piastri already on the offensive then this afternoon. He's tucked up in the slipstream behind that Alpine car there. No DRS, of course, yet to help him as we head back down in towards someone there. Is he going to try and look for a move to the inside? No, he is not. So Oscar Piastri there, unable to find a way around him at the start. We've just got to make sure that Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo stay with those front runners. Oscar Piastri then, round 2, as we go up against Valtteri Bottas. DRS now enabled, of course, in this Grand Prix. I don't think we'll get it, though, as we head back down in towards someone. Here we go. Oscar Piastri then forcing Bottas to try and look defensive there as we head in towards the first corner. Once again, of course, you can kind of move around a little bit around this circuit. Helped by the curvature of that straight. Of course, it allows you just to be a little bit cheeky as you head down in towards that first turn. But again, Oscar not able to find anything. We'll actually leave him on the deploy as we head through the next couple of corners here. Just see if we can try and potentially get a run, say, out of Tosa or something like that. Of course, wave to myself on the outside of the circuit. But can we try and get a run up the hill then? This feels like a potentially good place to try and make moves this afternoon. But again, that Alfa Romeo just quick enough as we get towards the top there. We'll have to sit back again for now. As you can see, Bottas trying to go defensive in towards Tosa. Aqua Minerale even. Definitely don't need to be going defensive there. We're going to have to leave Oscar on the deploy as we head back up the hill then. Bottas is clearly feeling the pressure early on in this GP. And I mean, with the DRS, surely this could be a done deal as we head back down towards turn 1. We need Oscar ahead of him, and we need him to try and stick with those Alpine cars early on this afternoon. There is to the outside of Bottas again. The flying fin there will just cover the nose. He won't have the DRS though this time around. The overtake attempt failed, but surely now we're going to be able to complete it there. We've used so much battery though over the course of this lap, but here comes Oscar Piastri then, weaves one way then the other, side by side with Valtteri Bottas as we head back down towards turn 1 there. DRS for us, nothing for the McLaren car, and we have now made it through, and up into P10 we go of the Grand Prix. Take some rubber out of those tyres, Oscar. Get on trying to close up to Esteban Ocon there and open up the gap to Bottas behind. In fact, we'll leave him on the aggressive modes there. That's what we needed to do. I could not spend all afternoon stuck behind hard compound runners. We made that mistake last week. Well, Max Verstappen has found a way around Charles Leclerc once more in this Grand Prix, but Sainz is really causing a bit of a train behind them. It's just gone fastest there, so I wonder if it was actually Hamilton that was the cork in the bottle. You can see Hamilton all the way down to Oscar Piastri there, still stuck in this DRS train. But both of our cars in the points early on this afternoon. Of course, we are going to have to try and look away that we can get around those Alpines as well at some point. But this has been a good start here. I think we just got to try and settle in to the race, sort of see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, we've done everything we needed to. We've got both cars in the points. We're away from the Alfa Romeos there. Even Gasly has found a way around Bottas as well. This is what we need. We've had someone with issues. It's Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix. They're locked up down at turn 12. Just as I was trying to save some fuel then. Has he done a Charles Leclerc? No, he hasn't. He's gone lawn mowing and has decided to stop for a picnic. So that's going to promote us then even further. Now into 7th and 9th place in this Grand Prix. In a very unlikely error from Lewis Hamilton there, but I'm not going to complain about it all too much. Ricciardo now has found a way around George Russell, but they've now lost the DRS as well to those cars further ahead. So do we start trying to make some impact with Lando? Oh, here we go. Lando Norris trying to have a look around the outside of George Russell as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Of course, the former GP2 rivals. George Russell definitely feeling the pressure. I put Lando on the deploy mode there, just see if we can try and find a way around George, because I'm thinking if we can get ahead of Ricciardo as well, then that could really put us in some safety over the entirety of this afternoon. Still unable to find a way around our fellow Brit though, but luckily, yeah, George not losing too much pace to Daniel Ricciardo. Look at the speed as we head up the hill there, and then it just all runs out of steam once again. But we are keeping George Russell on his toes, making him spend more and more time looking in his mirrors. He's on hard compound tyres as well in this race, which is certainly very important. But yeah, Ricciardo won't get back into the DRS range of Sergio Perez in front. So let's just see then. I mean, we got time to let him go for a run back down towards turn 1. I am also conscious about the fact, you know, a lot of this afternoon is going to be about trying to save that fuel as well. Should have potentially put him into neutral, but we will go overtake mode at the final turn. See if we can try and instigate something against George Russell here. We'll let him know we can take a bit more out of the tyres as well, though. We've just got no battery as we head out of the final turn there. We will still have a much better and more impactful DRS run than George Russell is able to get there, as Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc still battling at the front of the field. They are not giving up between these two early on in the afternoon. There is Charles Leclerc, tries to have looks at the inside through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. Nothing going for him, as we have to slot back in once again as well, as I'm guessing we're going to get the same treatment with Lando. Yes, we are. George Russell swoops through, and we'll hang on. Right, end of 18 now. I'm going to bring Oscar Piastri into the pit lane. Then he has gone slightly further than a lot of the other soft compound runners early on in this GP, but I think we're going to re-emerge between Hamilton and Lance Stroll then this afternoon. So if we can try and basically just keep up with Hamilton between now and the end of the race, it might not be such a bad thing for Oscar Piastri here. Going to make sure we get Lando trying to save up some battery once again to go on another attack against those cars in front of him there, as Ricciardo has once more lost the place to George Russell. But yeah, we should absolutely then be ahead of Lance Stroll in this Grand Prix. So Oscar Piastri going to come out in a nice bit of clear air then in this Grand Prix. So he's going to be able to use the full effect of those medium compound tyres as he heads out of the pit lane. It might be a little bit close with the Canadian. There, as you can see, Zhou Guanyu trying to apply some pressure to him. There they come back out of pit lane. But that's worked out quite nicely then for Oscar. He's got to really get on with it though in this GP. Try and get ahead of that gaggle of cars in front, of course, so then later on this afternoon we can really use that in his favour, as Stroll will just about get inside the DRS, but surely will break free from that Williams on much older tyres. Oh no! Lando Norris making a mistake there. He's let Esteban Ocon by, and that is not what we needed then. And now you can see the likes of Gasly and Ocon are going to get a bit closer behind as well. Hopefully Gasly won't get in the DRS there, but really not a mistake we needed at this point of the afternoon. And that suddenly pushed us a long, long way back and really brought us into the clutches of the Alpha Tauri. Why is Lando starting to make these mistakes? It is so frustrating. Carlos Sainz the first to blink in terms of pit stops then, so he's going to re-emerge just in around Lewis Hamilton once more in this Grand Prix. I've let Piastri try and push on that set of tyres as well there, so he's doing very, very well at this stage. And I also just wanted to make sure I got Lando back out of the range of the cars behind him, but I want to try and get to sort of lap 28 or so on this set of the mediums, but I'm a little bit worried already 3 seconds back. We're going to have to keep trying to push on there. Ocon is not inside the DRS of Ricciardo in front, but we need to be outscoring Alpine nice and consistently, and at the moment, we're just letting the mistakes creep in again. Plenty of pit stops then coming in over the last few laps. Pierre Gasly has just made a small error as well, so that's going to push him way back down. Of course, he has, just boxed as well. But Lando Norris then end of 28, like I said, heading into the pit lane. Esteban Ocon as well on the same strategy. And I mean, yeah, Oscar's not doing too badly at the moment. He has come out ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, so that's really important this afternoon. Of course, it's whether we can try and get him on another set of softs at the end, or whether we'll have to do 2 sets of mediums. I think he should be able to, though. If Lando's been able to do close to 30 laps on the mediums, of course, he wasn't pushing as much as Oscar Piastri has been. If we can go, what? It would have to be, just under 30 still, won't it? If we want to do sort of 2 laps of 15 on the softs. But Oscar Piastri, maybe this 2-stop is going to play into our hands there. Still a long way to go this afternoon. As you can see, though, Lando, about 2.5 seconds behind Esteban Ocon. We just need to keep trying to use the pace, stay a bit closer, and just focus on bringing that gap down. And we need to be careful that we save the fuel. Well, I think we're going to have to start being a little bit strategic then with Oscar Piastri here. I'm going to have to try and see if I can hold up Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon in this Grand Prix there. It's not going to be easy, because I'm going to tell Oscar to hold the cars behind. But yeah, you can see Daniel Ricciardo there. No, he's got straight round him, so we can't even try and use that to our advantage at the moment. We've just got to try and make Daniel Ricciardo's life as difficult as possible, just to try and see if we can bring Lando Norris back a bit, who is having even more issues then. He's got Pierre Gasly all over the back of him now. No battery either, but we need to try and get Oscar about another, 6 or 7 laps before we can sensibly consider softs to the end. And Ricciardo now is effectively a pit stop ahead of him. Alonso Bottas still need to pit, so it's not the end of the world, but we're still going to be battling those cars towards the end of this GP. More and more cars pitting again then in this race has promoted Lando Norris back inside the top 10 there. Oscar Piastri up into 7th, but I think we're going to have to try and peel him in at the end of this one. 19 laps on a set of the soft compound is going to be a tall order towards the end of this race there, as I think he was looking for a move on Esteban Ocon, but now we need to try and save more fuel again with this car there. Oscar Piastri, of course, we can go aggressive with him once again. We're 1.5 and 1 kilo down still on fuel, but I'm quite surprised by how many cars are 2-stopping during this Grand Prix. There are Alonso still yet to pit. Bottas just has. So it is very, very difficult at the moment. But yeah, Oscar Piastri needs to try and find a way around Fernando Alonso. It might be that they both head into the pit lane at the end of this lap there, but needs still to focus on fuel saving with both of the cars towards the end of this Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, they have just not stopped battling all afternoon. They've basically been nose to tail right from the get-go here, and as you can see, with less than 20 laps to go, pretty much even on tyres and strategy there, as Oscar Piastri heading into the pit lane. Fernando Alonso doing the same. Lando Norris just really needs to stay in the DRS of Esteban Ocon at the moment. There's Ricciardo has just broken free in this Grand Prix. He has been mega on his F1 return. Will we get the jump on Fernando as we head out of the pit lane, though? Yes, we will. So we jump Fernando Alonso in the pit lane, and that is fantastic. Late on in the day, we need to try and stay within the DRS range of Ocon so we can save that fuel. But now Oscar Piastri then is going to re-emerge in P12, but he is going to be flying towards the end of this afternoon. He could still close back up. So that huge gaggle of cars there as Mercedes, they have had a strategy nightmare, 9th and 10th provisionally. Well, George Russell has been able to carve his way back through this group then, so quite clear that the soft compound tyres are working wonders late on in this GP there. Lando Norris has saved most of the fuel that he's needed to as well, though, so it's actually Oscar Piastri that we're going to have to be a little bit more careful with, but I want to just see if we can bring these cars a bit further up before we try and save the fuel there. I want to try and get Oscar inside the DRS range of, say, Bottas in front of him, but I can't just help but feel this strategy is starting to fall away there. 14 laps to go of this Grand Prix. The gap looking at the moment at still about 20 seconds between Oscar and the points. Well, Lando Norris is still hanging on in there, battling his way with Pierre Gasly back down towards turn 1 there, and Gasly just about making the move stick once more. But I mean, yeah, we do keep just swapping around with the AlphaTauri car late on in the day. Then once again, Alpine have just been able to break free. I don't get how they're able to do it at the moment. Just got that slightly more car performance. But Lewis Hamilton has closed back in as well. Bottas now, I mean, what's the gap? Still like 15 seconds, isn't it? Late on in the day. As you can see, fuel's still low on both of the cars here. What is the leader's gap? So yeah, 15 seconds back. We are not taking enough time out of these cars in front there. I just need to try and get Piastri back ahead of Fernando Alonso late on in the day. But it just feels like another race gone begging here. We need to try and get Lando back past Pierre. But we're still under on fuel. We're going to have to fuel save so aggressively late on in the afternoon. Hamilton and Lando Norris both trying to look for a move on Pierre Gasly then as we head back down towards turn 1. The Alpine car will go defensive. But Lando Norris there trying to swoop round the outside. And he will once again, will he make it through? Yes, he will. So now we can go fuel save once again around the middle sector of this lap. I mean, we won't stay ahead of Pierre Gasly. We just know he will try and get back past us. Back down towards turn 1. But Hamilton, I wonder if he's taken pretty much the best life that he has out of those tyres there. Yeah, down to 41%, so they are not looking good at the moment. Hamilton we might still be able to fight with towards the end of this Grand Prix as we'll try and save again the fuel with Oscar Piastri. But 4 more laps to go of this Grand Prix. Again, it's one of those races where Lando picks up a few points and Oscar Piastri, no matter what we do with him, just can't quite get there. 2 laps to go, and then this is really now turning into Lewis Hamilton's real-life Imola Grand Prix last year. Spent most of the afternoon looking at the gearbox of an AlphaTauri. We've basically saved all the fuel we possibly can late on, but we're still, I mean, the team are worried about the range, but I think we should be good there. As Lando, you can see, defending for all his worth from Pierre Gasly there, and that's critical. Can save that place for now, and just save the fuel around the rest of the lap once again. This is what we've got to do late on in the day. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen still going at it at the front of the field there. They haven't been more than a second away from each other pretty much throughout the entirety of this GP. 2 more laps to go for them, but we are just trying to hang on to this P8. Max Verstappen, though, starting the final lap of this Grand Prix, and to be honest, I want to watch the battle going on at the front of the field there. He's made the move work on Charles Leclerc. Once again, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are both now even on the fuel, but it is going to be mighty tight to see if we can last out the final lap here. As you see, trying to use any battery we've got left at the moment with Lando Norris there. We have taken so much out of the tyres on both of the cars. Oscar Piastri a little bit further back there, not quite been the afternoon he would have wanted. Gasly trying to look for one last move on Lando Norris back at turn 1 there. The AlphaTauri car trying to muscle his way through, but Lando Norris is not going to give up on it. Once again there, we'll use the deploy whilst we've got anything left there round the outside as we head through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, but Lando Norris then should have done it with that move there. But Pierre Gasly not giving up again, trying to look down the inside through Tosa there. We don't often see moves through there, as you can see, heading still side by side up towards the top of the hill. Lando Norris gives him a big old squeeze over the curbing. He will have the inside line though as we head down in towards Aqua Minerale. I've got him on the deploy. This is a mega last lap battle there. Max Verstappen has won the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix there, 3/10 clear of Charles Leclerc as we head towards the start finish line. But Lando Norris just about once again hanging on ahead of Pierre Gasly. I don't know why I keep getting those two names muddled up. Oscar Piastri is now green on the fuel. We're just going to have to do a tiny bit of lift with Lando Norris through the final couple of corners of this GP. Please don't run out of fuel, Lando, as we head up towards the line there. It's going to be so close. He just gets into the green for the first time today, and he will hang on there. Half a tenth at the line, and surely we're going to see Lando Norris run out as we head down towards turn 1 there. Oscar Piastri, another Grand Prix where the opportunity goes begging there, not far behind come the checkered flag there. And yeah, a bit heartbreaking once again for him, not able to make it through. But it's more points for the team. Sadly, once again, we lose out to Alpine and Mercedes. But you know what? We've got to take with the rough with the smooth. Hopefully we can try and get back on fighting form.
And that's good enough work from Lando Norris this weekend. McLaren showed some good stuff here today, but they'll be building on that now to try and improve their results next time.
Absolutely. This was very promising, and now the team will be doing everything they can to make good on that promise.
The end this weekend in 5th place in the constructor standings.
Coming up next, the teams will be taking a trip to the Sunshine State. The Hard Rock Stadium is laying down the track for a captivating race at the Miami Grand Prix.
Well, there we are then. The end of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix there. Max Verstappen really is back to fighting form there after a couple of rough races to kickstart the campaign. Charles Leclerc in P2 ahead of Perez there and Carlos Sainz, with Russell, Ricciardo, Ocon, Norris, Gasly and Hamilton rounding out our point scorers there. Lando Norris, he's still picking up tidy amounts of points each week, but yeah, it's just Alpine and Mercedes, the teams we want to be battling against, able to keep getting the job done there. Further down the order, you can see, yeah, Oscar down in P13, just Alpine probably had a bit more pace in the race there, but the two-stop was definitely not the way to go there. With the only car outside of the back markers to attempt it, definitely was not the way to go. Championship-wise, though, Charles Leclerc still leading the way. 16 points now, the gap to Carlos Sainz. Verstappen now up into P3 by virtue of those back-to-back race victories there. Checo in 4th ahead of Lando Norris. So we are still ahead of Mercedes and Alpine in the Drivers' Championship with Lando. But yeah, Oscar Piastri all the way down in P13. We need to get him into consistent points there. Tsunoda jumps Stroll on count back. Gasly jumps Oscar. And you can see a little bit of movement as well in the midfield there. Ferrari now, 28 points clear of Red Bull. Mercedes and Alpine once again just further extend the gap over ourselves. Like I said, we need to get into a routine there. Or just getting both cars into the points on good strategy as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will be back very, very soon when F1 Manager heads to round 5 of the year. Are we in Miami? I can't quite remember, to be completely honest. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.